Hey guys, this is Camfrey15. I am back at it yet again with another video for you guys. And this is another ReZero Season 2 review. And thank God we are back for more ReZero Wednesdays because they're so good. And then 3, I also just got done recording 2 other videos right now. But yeah, ReZero episode 22 of season 2, which I thought was a pretty solid episode. We get more of the fight. Well, we have this episode starts off with the fight of Garfield and Garfield and Elsa. And man, that fight was crazy. Like, I'm like, good God, this fight is gonna be cool and stuff like that. That fight looks good. That fight looks good. Garfield is holding his own. I wonder if he's gonna transform into his great big tiger form, so that's going to be interesting to see. But I definitely like the fact that he's not backing down from Elsa, and he's given Elsa a challenge so far, although Elsa doesn't look like she's taking too much damage herself. Now we cut over to Subaru, where we last left off with Subaru and Beatrice, and essentially we find out that Beatrice does not want to be taken out of the room. Essentially she's like, well, you know, what's written in stone is written in stone, and that's fine, and stuff like that. She also does know that Roswell told Elsa the secret about told the secret about how to find Beatrice, and that's by opening all the doors in the mansion. So that's, you know, fun with it. And we later see that, you know, Beatrice, she's kind of content on dying, and she's like, well, you know, what's written in the Tome of Wisdom in Roswell's book is, you know, I'm gonna have to live with it, and that's fine by me, and stuff like that. But Subaru's like, no, you can't do this. You know, you need to decide for yourself what you want to do, you know, and stuff like that. And, you know, Beatrice gets into a very emotional, you know, state here where she's like, well, you know, what's the point if I decide all this and then everybody's just gonna leave me and leave me all alone? And you know, she brings up the fact that her mother, Echidna, left her alone. Roswell left her alone. You know, Ryuzu left her alone. And it's like, I can understand where she's coming from. For 400 years, she's essentially, you know, had these people be around her only to leave her and stuff like that. And she feels like nobody wants her and stuff like that. And I'm like, my heart is touched. But, you know, Subaru's like, well, you can't, you know, do that and everything. You know, and you won't feel like that and stuff like that because you have people around you that will want to be with you and stuff like that. And that's when she brings up Subaru, like, so what, are you gonna be like that person for me and stuff like that? And Subaru's like, listen, I don't know if I'm gonna be that person for you, and I don't think I'll ever be that person for you. And what does she get? And what does he get for his hard-earned work for saying that? She kicks him out of the fucking room. I'm like, you really should have just said, be that person. And maybe he should have went with you because it seems like things were going well. But I'm feeling like he's gonna do something else. He's gonna get back in that room to convince her some other way and stuff like that. Eventually, we see Petra and Otto. They're essentially like, well, you see, the mob beasts are attacking, and that's why we're not out of here yet and stuff like that. Eventually, what happens is this big rumbling comes up from under the ground, but we see Frederica saves them and stuff like that. And next thing you know, we see little lolly girl Maylee with her fucking hippo, her hippo of a freaking mob beast. You know, okay, I thought there was only like some dogs and some other stuff, but now we got hippos as mob beasts now. I'm like, well, they definitely would have died because they would have fell in that dang hippo's jaws. But yeah, Maylee's like, well, why don't you guys play nice and just listen to me and be good little friends and just die? But what I found funny is Petra's being so sarcastic. She's like, oh, if you're gonna be a nice little friend, well, you'll let me free go. And I'm like, okay, that's funny. And then Maylee's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I can't let that happen. I'm like, this bitch. Anyways, Frederica also has Ram with her. She eventually gets run to Subaru and she's like, get out of here, I'll take care of this and stuff like that. And Subaru and Otto go to Subaru, Otto, and Petra try to go to Roswell's room, which has a secret, you know, passage exit way to get out of there. But the one dog great mob beast who I believe we saw from the one run where Subaru died when he was holding Petra's hand. And that was the freaking loop when I think he went to the mansion or whatever and stuff like that. Or went back when got killed by the freaking bunnies or something like that. I forgot. But anyways, yeah, that's a whole thing, and it seems like nobody's there to stop that mobby. So, what's gonna happen next unless we get a savior there? Anyways, we cut back to Emilia. She goes on to take her second trial, and we see the second trial, which is, you know, reliving her past, her untold past. And essentially, in this trial, man, it really freaking hit me, man. You know, the Emilia backstory, man, was such a tragic ass backstory where it's like, why'd they really have to do that to us? Did they really have to do that to us? Did White Fox have to do that to us? Really? Did the author really have to did the author of ReZero have to do this to us? And essentially, the second trial of Emilia is just seeing a what if, you know, scenario. If Pandora did not show up and Regulus Cornea didn't show up and just start attacking. This is probably what more would have happened. We see Fortuna, Goose, you know, and Emilia all having a picnic where they all discuss, or, you know, you run into some other elves, half elves, you know, essentially saying like, oh, you make a good family. Again, building on that freaking, you know, love between Fortuna and Goose, which again is whole funny enough because both their voice actors for Fortuna and Goose are actually Kirito and Asanas, which is, I would say, which is one of the better well-known anime relationships out there. But, you know, it's like, God damn it. And then, you know, midway through the picnic, you have Emilia essentially saying like, Goose, why don't you just stay here with Fortuna? You know, you might as well. And I'm like, it's freaking Emilia trying to let Goose get in them cheeks, which sadly never happened. And, you know, they're like, oh, please, come on. You know, Goose is kind of flirting with her, saying the outfit she's wearing looks very lovely on her. I'm literally watching this part of the episode. I'm not crying, but I'm about to the point where I'm like crying where tears, tears could come out. I'm like, you motherfuckers really had to give us that backstory. You really had to give us that backstory. And then only a few episodes later, you give us a what if scenario, and none of that shit never happened. Okay. I'm crying inside. I'm crying. I thought that was fucked up. But it was very emotional. It was very like heart feeling and heart tugging because you're essentially seeing this what if possibility if Pandora and Regulus Corneus never even decided to attack and never decided to do anything. We would have never seen Goose act the way he acts. And heck, even in this episode, Emilia shockingly calls Goose her father in a type of way because Goose was a fatherly figure to him and stuff like that. And it's funny too because she makes a mention. She's like, well, I don't know where Goose is at now, but you know, hopefully he's fine. And I'm like, oh, yeah, your boyfriend kind of killed him. So yeah, again, that was very emotional. She talks to Archie about this whole thing and stuff like that and says how far she's gotten because of everybody and stuff like that. She also calls Archie like a brother. She started calling him Oni-chan. Which I don't know that's a meaning that she just sees him as a brother or if that was like they're actually related. But I think it's the KO was the first outcome. She sees him as a brother. So eventually, before the second trial ends, you see Echidna. And Echidna started throwing more, you know, insults. She's like, you disgust me and I hate you. But at the same time, she's crying. Now, I don't know why she's crying. Was she crying because of what she saw? Who knows? Is she crying because Emilia's beating her? I don't know, man. I don't know why. I don't know why she's crying. It's some sort of semblance. Maybe she feels something for Emilia. Again, I don't know why she's crying. It is interesting to see that she was crying, though. I was like, why is Echidna crying? Maybe we'll get some more revelations to why she was and stuff like that. She comes out of the second trial, and this time the people that come and or see her as she's coming out are the people of her country, as well as some of the other demi-humans, along with Ryuzu, who is called the Elder. And essentially, they encourage her to take the third trial and finish this whole thing off and stuff like that. It was a nice scene, a nice connection scene, and things like that. And it seems also like the demi-humans are cool with her releasing the barrier. And when she goes in for the third trial, the final words that are said before the episode ends is saying that that Emilia's third trial will talk about facing the disaster that has yet to come. So I'm guessing maybe there's gonna be a flash forward in the future of some bad event that might happen to see if it might break her. I don't know. Very interesting. Then we do get the ending. We don't get another opening. I'm like, oh, damn it. I was really looking forward to hearing the opening again because I love that opening. That opening is so good. But the ending is good in its own self too. But I thought it was a good, solid episode of ReZero. They really, especially when it gets to the second trial portion of this episode, they really hit you with the feels, because you know it's like, this would have freaking happened if only Pandora never attacked. But a great episode, more character development for Emilia. I did like the fact when she jumped off the ledge and she essentially saw a reflection of herself in the water. I thought that was great, which is again the thumbnail of this episode. And I'm like, Emilia has grown so much. I'm like, I still love me some Rem, because Rem to me is always best girl. But Emilia, she's great too. And you know, I really like the development they've given Emilia as of late. And yeah, but other than that, guys, that's all I gotta say for this week's episode of ReZero. And yeah, so if you guys liked the video, leave a like, put in the comment section your thoughts on this episode of ReZero. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys on the next episode of ReZero, which is next week. Other than that, guys, hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day or night or whenever you're trying this video. Till then, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Peace.